Hey y'all, it is Marie, and you are watching, listening to, doing something. Either way, you're here, and this is Unfostered. I'm going to redo that. Hey y'all. So,
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
you done?
I'm done.
You ready? Okay. Hey y'all, I am Marie, and this is Unfostered, and I am super duper excited for today's show because I have my co-host with me, who you all already know is Holiday. But then I also have a very special, very cute guest with me. I am very biased in how cute she is. This is my daughter, Ariel.
Hi.
And for all intended purposes, do you want us to call you Ariel or Ari, or what you want us to refer
It
to?
doesn't matter.
Okay, you might hear Ariel, you might hear Nani, you might hear Ari. Who knows? I don't really call you Ari though.
No.
Mm-mm.
But you know, black people got nicknames for their nicknames.
There's nicknames for your nicknames. Yeah. So y'all, Ariel, Nani, Ari, all of them, kiddo. That's that one. So y'all, today the conversation is going to be hard. I was very honest with you guys, and that we will always be transparent when we do the podcast. And I mean, I have to just keep with that. So, in all fairness, I do not want this to be an attack one person or another kind of thing. However, we have to be honest in where we are today as far as relationships is concerned. We're going to talk about family dynamics, what it looks like when you have a good, strong, positive mother-daughter relationship, and what it looks like when the relationship is a little more fragile. And we're working on it, but it's not perfect. And this is one of those times where those imperfections are showing. And so I told you guys that I would be honest. And honestly, I did not even want to do the podcast with Holiday this time. And it's simply because we just weren't in the best space before the podcast, but she insisted. And why did you insist on doing a podcast anyway?
Because I wanted to be with my child. And I prayed with my God to find out what the devil was trying to push me into, and I found that it was not right. I wanted to be with my child for this.
What do you mean the devil was trying to push you into?
The devil was trying to push me into saying that because I had a choice of either doing a podcast or being at my church. And the devil was pushing me into being with my church instead of being with my child, which I should have in the first place.
So let me explain.
I'm sorry.
Let me explain it to you all a little bit more. So whenever we get ready to come to the studio, Dawa Studio, shout out to Dawa Studio, and the best studio engineer ever. But let me tell you, the time is scheduled ahead of time. And then I always let Holiday know at least a couple of weeks in advance, because she loves to go to the doctor. So that we don't interfere with some of her doctor appointments, I like to give her a heads up ahead of time when it's time to come to the studio. This particular time, I was like, okay, there's a guest that wants to come on, but Holiday said, let's not have a guest. Let's just have you and I talking. There's some things I want to talk about. And so I tell the guests, like, hey, I need to hold off a little bit because I wanted to respect whatever it is that she had to say. Well, in the course of that time, she joined the choir at church, right? And you have to go to a certain amount of practices before you can actually sing with the choir. So she tells me day before yesterday, mind you, the studio time has already been scheduled a couple of weeks out, but she tells me day before yesterday that if she does the podcast, then she would be too late to go to choir rehearsal. And so she needs to go to choir rehearsal instead of doing a podcast. Now, I want to make sure you understand where the hurt came from in that. It was a reminder. It was a reminder for me of all of the times that I put myself out there to strengthen a relationship. Because just so you all know, a part of the podcast, a part of doing the podcast is to strengthen Holiday and I's relationship. It's a bonding thing for us. it ain't just that we're trying to get it all out there to you guys. It's something that we share, or at least that's what I took it as. It's something that we share to work on the relationship. And so if at the last minute you tell me that there's something that's more important than that, then for me that translates to you saying that there's something more important than me, which brings me back to it rushes back in all of the trauma from when I was a kid and you didn't show up. That's what that does. That's why my feelings were hurt.
I wasn't intending to hurt your feelings whatsoever. And yes, we did plan the podcast for me and you weeks in advance. But I was just at the last minute told about the choir rehearsal and because this is Ash Wednesday, I was just told that the blessing for Ash Wednesday was today. So I said I was trying to figure out in my head how I could do this time, because from the distance of here and the distance of where the church is, it was going to be traffic because we're in the middle of rush hour. But also in the same time, I was trying to think. I was in a confused situation for the simple fact I want to be with my daughter and do this, but yet and still I want to get into the church myself, the church that I belong to myself. But what I should have realized was how I was hurting my daughter, and I didn't realize that I was going to hurt my children that way. All I was thinking about is what I had to do. I didn't think about what how it would affect others or nothing like that. I was just thinking about, yes, me. But as I sat, I thought about it and I prayed about it, and God gave me the answers that I needed to have. That's why I said, well, I decided I'm just going to go to the podcast. I know that it would be a difficult situation, and it was just my decision of what I wanted to do and what I had to do and what needed to be done.
So, um, it, y'all, it was a quiet ride between my house and the studio regarding Holiday and I. I don't want to come off like I'm always beating up on you, but that's where it gets difficult for me, because I don't have a problem with you doing stuff at church. I want you to be involved in church. I know that God is the foundation to everything that is positive. And so in order for you to stay in your sobriety and to help with your mental health and all of that, church is a great outlet for you. I'm not discouraging that. I'm just saying sometimes it gets tiring teaching you how to parent. Like when you said on the phone, well, you and your sister didn't help me get to my best friend's mama funeral. I don't even understand how that could have come up in a defense, because I've let you live with me rent free. I've made the kids share bedrooms to make sure that you had your own space. I feel like I've done above and beyond to help aid you in your sobriety, and I don't feel like I deserve that.
Well, where things, where you remember back when you was a child, the things I did and I said, whereas I don't. It's with me, I just speak like at a spur of the moment thing that comes just at that moment. I don't say exactly, think back. I think back of how this happened, think back about how that happened, think back about what I've done, what I haven't done. I don't think like that. I only think of what's happening at the specific moment, and that's what happened. I was only thinking about what was happening and how I could appease my mind at that particular moment. I wasn't thinking about nobody else's. I wasn't thinking about nobody else's self-being.
Oh,
With all due respect, but Grandma, that can't be an excuse for everything, because at some point in time I was angry and I was I wasn't thinking about it in the moment. You have to take other people's feelings into consideration.
I didn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's something you have to do. That's something you have to pray about, because I've prayed about taking other people's feelings into consideration, and I've worked on that. But like, I'm actively trying to do that. Sometimes it seems like you don't try to do that. You just, this is how it is, and that's it.
Pretty much, that's the way I think. I have had to make decisions on my own for a considerable amount of time that I don't think about, and I'm still fighting with it. I don't think about other persons or other people feelings, whether it's my own family or whether it's somebody else's. I just, do.
I mean, and I think part of that is because when you've had a traumatic childhood, and I'm not excusing the behavior because it was hurtful, but what I am saying is that I understand where that stems from. I really honestly believe that when somebody has had a traumatic upbringing and they're in fight or flight mode, you can be in fight mode for a long time. But I'm telling you that you don't have to be like that with us. You don't have to be in fight mode. I've even told you before that all we want to do is love you. That's it. You don't have to worry about not being supported in the things that you want to do because we've been supporting you this whole time. And so what I'm asking from you is for it to be reciprocated, because the difference is I've done things that have hurt my daughter's feelings. That nobody's perfect. But we have a conversation about it, and she knows that it's not coming from a place of intentional pain. It's coming from a lack of understanding that that specific thing hurt her. And so because we were able to talk about it, we have a very strong relationship.
That's my best friend.
A very strong relationship. I would like to be able to have that with you, but you have to understand that when you do things like that, it pulls me back to that place of hurt. And so it makes it hard for me to want to let my guard down to have that connection with you. Like, that makes it hard because not just you, a lot of moms, I don't know why it's more moms than dads, but a lot of moms who were absent during upbringing have a sense of entitlement that they didn't earn. It's like a requirement for respect that you didn't instill because you weren't there during the time where that would have been necessary. So like for my kiddos, I've never missed a thing. Like, I'm gonna be there. Even if I got to be broke getting there, I'm gonna do whatever I got to do to make sure I can take care of my kids. But that's because they're a priority for me. I want you to make me a priority for you without me having to tell you that.
Okay, that's no problem. See, as different from you, okay, you decided that you weren't going to have your children be in the same situation and have the same thinking that you did. With me, even with my biological mom, even with the auntie that raised me, I was never taught about nothing about parenthood, nothing about childhood, nothing at all. Everything I had to learn on my own, and I thought that I was doing it right. And if I hurt somebody's feelings, I used to be like, oh well, I just hurt their feelings, I'm sorry. But I didn't. As for my kids, I've tried my best. I don't want to hurt their ears. I don't want to hurt my kids. I want to have the parent relationship that we're building. This situation that we've gone through in the last couple of days is really a deep feeling for mine. I haven't eaten, I haven't sleeping. I just feel terrible about it. I don't know how. Of course, me again, I don't have anybody to talk to about it. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in a spiral situation.
Yeah, but Grandma, that's when you have to be like, okay, well, this situation happened. Let me talk to my daughter about it. You feel like you don't have anybody to talk to. She's sitting right here. You can have a conversation with her. And you had a conversation about.
I mean, it's nothing wrong with having a conversation with Ariel. The problem is my wording doesn't come out the way I wanted to. I could feel one thing, saying something in my mind, but when it comes out of my mouth, it's a totally different situation.
So
I understand that.
The words that you use to open up that dialect are very simple. I'm sorry. And then we go from there, but making a justification for it only hurts more. And I want to be patient because God teaches patience. I want to be kind. I want to be, the word very clearly says to honor your mother and your father. And it doesn't say to honor your mother and your father when they're doing right. It simply says to honor your mother and your father. But on the flip side of that, it also says the parents should not bring their children to anger. So it's something that we both have to work on. And for me, to keep from getting too loud on the phone, to keep from disrespecting you, because it has been times where like it almost came to blows with us. That's dysfunctional. That's dysfunctional. And that's not something that I even want my kids to see. And so for me, if it gets too volatile or if it gets to be too much, my response is to just push away so that I don't have that hurt. I don't want to have a bad relationship with you. But there's so much that we have to still heal from. And every time I think I'm healed or healing, the enemy comes in and almost reminds me that I'm not there yet. And I'm about to be 42 years old. I don't want to continue in this type of relationship and this type of dysfunction, because I don't have that with my kids, and I don't want them thinking that this is normal.
No, this isn't normal.
Mommy, me personally, I don't know about AJ and them. I know that's not normal. I see what a healthy relationship looks like. I have a healthy relationship with you. Like, I can communicate with you and Dad. I don't really know about Grandma. Sometimes you can communicate with her, sometimes you can't.
Ariel, I don't know how to communicate. I mean, I communicate in a way that I want my kids to understand, but then my way for them to understanding is still not the right kind of communication. I don't know how yet. I'm 63 and I'm still learning how to communicate with my kids, because I've never knew how.
Well, Grandma, honestly, like Mommy said, you just have to say sorry and go from there. Like, I have a really hard time expressing myself. And Mommy has taught me multiple things to express myself, and I still have a hard time. But it sucks seeing that you can't openly communicate with her. It's not hard, Grandma. It just sucks to see that.
Well, it's hard for me. It's hard for me because I don't know how yet. I'm learning, and I'm learning. You know, I look at things, I understand things, but yet and still, it is still hard, and it is a hurting feeling for me also. I mean, even though we had that little conversation on the phone that we didn't want to have, and I didn't want to have with her, and even though I told her, I said, well, she said she had a headache. That's when I stopped, even though my chest was completely hurting, and I continued on. But afterward, I prayed, and I cried also, and you know, I was just asking God to help me with communication. You know, help me communicate with my kids better. I don't know how. And the way that I think is a good way to communicate is the wrong way. So I'm learning more and more how to communicate with my daughters.
So I'll say this. Conversations that are hard are still necessary. There was a time where you had a really hard time even communicating with Ariel, because you came from a generation that taught your kids are to be seen and not heard. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that, because even if they're in trouble and if they've been punished or whatever it is afterwards, what is going to happen?
We're going to have a conversation.
We're going to have a conversation about it, because I didn't punish you because I don't want to hear you out. I didn't punish you because I'm angry at you. I punished you because I love you.
But see, at my growing up, when I needed somebody to talk to about problems or things that was bothering me, you know, I was always told, go away, leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered. So it all bottled up inside of me, and it became a reaction of mine just to keep whatever's inside of me, you know, as far as communicating out with anybody. I always felt and am still feeling like I'll be told, shut up, leave me alone, and I don't want to be bothered. That comes from a lifetime of being told that. I mean, even after you girls were small and we were still living in the place where my foster home was, I was still told as an adult, I don't want to hear it, leave me alone. Even though my aunt who raised me, even though she would listen to y'all, she wouldn't listen to me. And so I didn't have anybody to talk to or anybody to explain anything. I would go up, because my other auntie would live upstairs, I would actually go up and try to talk to Mommy Snooze, and I know she's tired. She was a cashier at a grocery store, and I know she'd be tired. Go down there and talk to Dolly and them. I don't want to hear that. Or and talking to my great grandmother was totally impossible. So I didn't have anybody to talk to. So that's where my communication hangup comes in at, of not having nobody to talk to. Whereas you have a problem, Ariel, and you can go to your mom and you can go to your dad and you can explain things to them about what's going on inside of you, how you feel, what's happening in your life. I can't. I don't have anybody to turn to. Like you said, I can't turn to my daughters, but when I try to turn to my daughters to talk about it, it comes out wrong.
So and like I said, I don't want you to hurt, which is why I've tried to, like, we've had some really serious conversations, some really deep conversations. Like I said, you even had to have those hard conversations with Ariel because the relationship was really bad. And I had to step in, and I've told you, listen, I'm going to choose my children over you because that's what I'm supposed to do. And so you either have a good relationship with them or we don't have a relationship at all, because I didn't want them to be in abuse, because words are abusive. There is a such thing as verbally being verbally abusive, and I was not willing to put them through that. When Ariel came to me and she said, this is hurting, like, grandma is saying this and I can't even talk to her, and the way that she comes off, I talked to you about that and I brought that to you. And I do commend you on working on that relationship with her, even with AJ, like with all the kids. You've been intentional about working on your relationship with them. And so I don't want this one thing to impede the work that you've already done. I'm just telling you to not take a step back, to start recognizing when those things happen and say sorry, because I have to be honest. I'm trying to be patient, but sometimes I get tired. I get tired of showing you how to be a parent sometimes. But I want to show you how to communicate with your family effectively. I don't want us to just come at you. If we're doing something that hurts you, I want you to be able to tell us about it. You told me, well, I don't like the way that the kids talk to me. I had a conversation with the kids. And I said, look, that's your grandmother. Talk to her respectfully. And so they've worked on that. My kids are outspoken. They just are. They're outspoken with everybody. But that's because I made sure that they felt like they could be heard. Because just like your aunt, just like Dolly told you, be quiet, go away, I don't want to hear it, you did the same thing with me, Chris, and Jamie. And so I knew how much that hurt. And so I did the exact opposite with them. They tell me too much sometimes.
I'm sorry.
But it's necessary. It's necessary. When I say too much, I don't mean too much like, don't tell me that. I mean, like, I know a lot more than a lot of parents would know about their kids, because I was very intentional about communication, because I know how much that hurts. And so what I'm saying is, all of the stuff you said, I didn't like any of it. I didn't like any of it, but that doesn't mean that I hate you. It means that I needed to take a step back so that I didn't say the wrong thing and be disrespectful, because I have been before. I've been disrespectful before. I still, like, when it came to almost, I never want to go there. I never want to go there. I wouldn't have even imagined, even with all of the trauma that we all had, kind of feeling like I was in that space. You know what I mean?
I understand.
But the relationship, when this girl is hurting, or sometimes even if she ain't, just randomly, her and her siblings will come up to me, Mama, I need a hug, or Mama, can I hug you, or Mama, can I, like, I'll be sitting there and they just come and lay on me, or they just want to physically touch me all the time.
There's some, it's weird to say, but like, it's just a comfort thing. Because if I feel like I can't breathe, all I do is hug you, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can breathe again.
I've never been able to just say, I think the last time I hugged you was at Jamie's funeral.
And at your graduation.
And that, I mean, the fact that we can remember the specific times within the last 3 or 4 years when we've even physically embraced each other is heavy. I don't. I wish that I had the relationship that I have with my daughter with my mother. I don't even know what that feels like. I've never known what it feels like to be able to say, if I could just hug my mama, I could take a breath. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that's like.
And I mean, just like you don't know what that's like, I don't either. Because I've never had anybody to just hug me and breathe, and like Ariel said, breathe. I've never had anybody to do that. I've always had to hug a doll or a teddy bear or, I've never had anybody to hug feelingly. Even with the gentleman I was with, I've never could walk up to him and say, can I just get a hug? I mean, for no odd reason. I would ask Dolly, I would walk in from school or she'd come in from work and I know she's tired and all because she was an activity therapist. And I would just say, Dolly, can I get a hug? No, get a move, girl. Go on, sit your ass down somewhere. And that kind of grew on me. And as far as my girls, I felt that if I hugged them, that they would like shun away. And so I was always afraid to hug on to them. So no, we didn't have that like deep mother relationship, whereas they could come to me and tell me anything because I didn't want to hear it, because that's how I was raised, of not wanting to listen to anything.
Yeah, we know that because that was part of the hang up with the kids, is that you would be like, Marie's kids always saying something, because I taught them to speak up. If something is going on, say something about it, because you're safe. Whoever is doing something to you is the one that's not safe.
Right.
But speak up and say something about it. I don't know if it's in the cards for us to be able to have that, because I don't know how to have that with you. But the kids hug you and you hug the kids. And so I'm grateful that, the relationship the dynamic is changing and God is working in that dynamic when it comes to you and the kids. But there's still a lot of work to be done regarding our relationships.
To be perfectly honest, the relationship between me and you, as far as hugging, doesn't, for some odd reason, it's just not there. But whenever my other daughter, Paulette, we call her Chris. Whenever Chris is over to my house, and she could be just doing anything, I'm in the room sitting or doing anything, Ma, can I just get a hug? And I'll hug her, or she'll want to talk to me about something and I'll listen. I don't know why it feels so different when I'm with you, because you have a certain way about yourself that I can't get into. I can't, I want to, like, you tell me about, just say a stick on the ground. Okay, there's a stick on the ground. Or something's on the windshield or something on the windshield. I mean, we've had times where we've laughed and joked and talked about certain things. But as far as that closeness, I mean, I know I feel close to my daughter, but it's just not, I just feel different when I'm with you than I am with Chris.
Outside looking in and haven't have read your book, it's because you had a favorite, and Mommy could clearly tell you had a favorite. So there's a disconnect there. And I don't know if y'all ever really like had a conversation about that, but you could tell you hug onto Chris more than you do Mommy. It's because you clearly had a
the
favorite.
relationship is obvious, but that's from when we were kids. I was always under Dolly, and if Pete was around, if my dad was around, forget everybody. I just want to be right up under there. And it's because and this is the it's it's just the truth. I can vividly remember a time where you had actually been home, when we were living with Dolly. You were at the house, and you made me and Jamie get up and clean up. And I told Chris, you get up and you come clean up with us. And he was like, no, Pig is going to stay here. She calls you Auntie Pig. Pig is going to stay here with me. And so you sat with Chris and watched TV. And y'all was snuggled up and you watched TV with Chris. And me and Jamie went to clean up. And the next day we were in the car, and there was a Stevie Wonder song. And it said, when was the last time that you heard him say, Mama, or daughter, I love you? And I was thinking, I literally don't know when the last time I heard my mama tell me that she loves me, because that didn't happen. And so for me, it started very early. It was a clear distinction between your daughters. Like, you care for Jamie differently than you care for me and Chris, and you care for me and Chris very differently. You had a kid, and I don't know if it's because I was very vocal, even when I was little, about how much I wanted Dolly and how much I wanted my dad, and I didn't necessarily cling to you when I was little because I felt the rejection. I felt like, if you do that, she'll move you out the way. If you do that, that's not something she wants from you, so go get that from other people. I hug Dolly, you know that, all the time. Dad carried me until my feet were almost dragging on the ground. Yeah. And so it's not that I didn't want the affection. I didn't feel like I could have that with you, and that still is carrying on today.
Right, and then like you were saying, you would go and hug Dolly and all, and that made me, yes, it made me in a jealous, anger kind of way, because I couldn't do that with her. And even with your dad, you run to your dad and hug him and all. I couldn't do that with Pete. It was certain situations where me and Pete would sit and talk, and he would be so intoxicated half the time, he'd go to sleep. I'm sitting there talking, he'd sleep. And as far as my great-grandmother, talking to her was totally impossible. But, and so that like you said, I felt different about Jamie, I felt different about you, and I felt different about Chris. Everyone said that Chris was my favorite, but I thought that I loved you girls all the same. I didn't realize that there was a difference coming in between.
So what do you think now?
I mean, now, like, even when I have a Bible that I write in, and I write that, I know there's one question that says, what's the head of your life? And I always say myself, my kids, and my husband. And when I say my kids, I want to try and keep having this communication with them. I want to open, with explaining and talking to them without feeling ashamed of saying what I need to say.
Ariel, when you look at the dynamic between, because we're two people that are very close to you, two women that are very close to you. It's your grandma, your mother, there's literally 3 generations of us up here. When you see our relationship, what do you see?
Dysfunction, chaos. It's like, I don't really know how to describe it. Sometimes it's like a tornado and that one little butterfly just flying for a glimmer of hope, and then it's gone.
Do you feel like your grandma has made intentional strides to make you all's relationship better?
Oh, I can definitely say for a fact that she has, because, I've told you this, and I told Mommy this. When I turned 18, there was never going to be a relationship between me and you. Like, I've told you that. So I feel like I'm 23 now. So we have a better relationship. I mean, it has its ups and downs. Nobody's ever going to see eye to eye, but, it's better now.
Do you think that there has been progression in me and your grandmother's relationship?
Yes, it's slow, but you can't rush nobody's healing. So I think it's better than what it used to be.
Why do you think it was so much easier for you to have a conversation with Ariel and develop a relationship with her as opposed to me? Is it the opposition? Because I almost feel like, and not to toot my own horn, I certainly am not trying to do that, but I feel like the relationship with you all was able to be mended more. One, because of God, we will make sure we give Him glory for that. But two, because you all had an additional mediator. Like I was like, okay, this is what she's trying to say. Okay, and this is what she's trying to say. And you and I don't have a buffer between us. So do you think that I think that the problem is we don't have somebody to, keep us from butting heads.
I do believe that. We don't have, like you said, there's a mediator between you and Ariel sometimes, but there doesn't seem to be a mediator.
No, a mediator between you and Ariel.
Yeah.
Ariel and I don't need a mediator.
I mean, well, I meant between me and Ariel, where at one time I was really, I don't know why, but I was really aggravated just to hear her voice, aggravated the mess out of me. But knowing that that's your child, I mean,
dang.
I'm sorry, but it was just hearing her voice would just set me off. But I wanted to get this close relationship with you. In order to get this close relationship with you, I decided within myself and prayed about it to have this good relationship with my grandchildren.
Well,
not so just much as Ariel.
Yeah, and let's be very honest. I'm glad that you prayed about it, and I'm glad that God answered you in regards to that. But I was very vocal about that too.
Yeah.
And I told you that a relationship with me was not possible if there was going to be an unhealthy relationship with my children, because my objective, my responsibility was to make sure that they felt protected, and I would do that to the very last breath in my body. There isn't anybody outside of God and my husband who could intercede into a relationship with my children. And I trust my husband enough so that that wouldn't be a thing with him. I trust God enough so that that wouldn't be a thing with God. Aside from that, everybody else comes after that. It's God, my husband, my kids, everybody else. And I can't make you love me the way that I love them, but I want you to be able to see that I do love you, and what I need from you is to start taking my feelings into consideration. Because when I was little, if you made me cry, which I cried often when I was little, do you remember what you would say to me?
Shut up.
Oh, and you just sensitive. Oh, she all right. Don't worry about it. She always crying. She just sensitive. Well, stop making me cry. And literally one time, I was like, Dolly asked me why I was crying. And I told her that you hurt my feelings. And I was comfortable telling her that because I knew her response wasn't going to be, stop making her cry. For me, and I'm sorry that you got a different Dolly, but when I told her, like, Mama made me cry, she said to you, why did you make this girl cry? And you was like, well, she just sensitive. She was like, then stop making her cry. And when she said that, I was like, light bulb, just stop being mean. Stop being so mean. And your great grandmother was exceptionally mean to you. Grandma Op was very, very, very mean to you.
Yes, she was.
And I'd like to take that into consideration. But if I'm taking your past and your traumas into consideration, the best thing you can do for me is to take those things into consideration too, because Jamie passed without y'all having a connection and a solid relationship.
Me and Jamie actually had a solid and deep relationship
Y'all may
until
have talked
after
to each other, but
right, but after her first child was born, then it was like we tore apart.
yeah, but how old was she when she had her first child? She was 13. And so from the age of 13, if that's the case, because I remember you and Jamie physically fighting. And so if the relationship was volatile from the time she turned 13, she died without ever getting that closure from you. I don't want one of us to leave here and we not have that closure. And there are other people who are dealing with, especially mother-daughter relationships. When they get toxic, and it's hard as the child in a toxic relationship. It's hard sometimes to make y'all get where we're coming from. All we want to be at this point, like when you were on the phone with me and you was like, I don't want to hear anything else about it. Do you understand me, little girl? And I'm thinking, I'm not a little girl. I'm literally 42 years old. You have to see me from the lens of an adult. As an adult, I'm an adult now. And so where do we meet in the middle so that we can have a more healthy relationship? The past is the past, and it has passed, and there's nothing we can do about that. But what do we do from this point forward? Because conversations like this is why it's easy for my daughter to be able to say, hey, this is hurting. Even if her dad hurts her feelings, she'll come to me bawling, crying because she's a daddy's girl, and anything he says is liable to hurt her feelings. His daughters are very sensitive when it comes to him. And so if that's what it takes, is like open communication for me to be able to make sure that I keep a strong relationship. I never want to have a bad relationship with my daughter. I've never called her out her name. I've spanked her tail, but as far as slapping her in the face or slapping her upside the head or something, I don't do that. I want to make sure that I'm a place of peace for her. And I assume that I am that. But I would like to not be the martyr of the family. I would have liked for it to be you, but I often find myself parenting you and teaching you how to be a parent.
That's because I never knew.
Well, I'm just
I know it's
exhausting
hard.
sometimes.
It's right. It can be exhausting and it can be hard for you as my child, but you parenting me and telling me or showing me how to be a parent shows me that I should be doing this, I should be doing that, because I don't know how to. I don't know how to be a parent. Whereas I have my girls communicate, understand me, I understand them, I could talk to them about anything. I just don't know how. And I mean, I'm learning as I go along, but I'm getting older, and my learning ability should have been when I was 20 or 30, maybe younger. But my learning ability is just starting when I was 50, after I started learning more about my children. Coming out of an addiction, you know, you get so you actually hate people, you know, and it didn't make a difference whether it was your child, a friend, a family. You just hated people, and after a while, I'm in the midst of learning and still learning how to be a parent, how to love my children the way they want to be loved, the way I should have done a long time ago that I don't know how. I do the things that the best way I can, but I don't know how.
Grandma, me personally, I recognize and I see that you're trying, but we can't tell you how to heal.
I know,
We can't,
I know that. That's
but,
why I'm
like,
doing it the best way I can, and
I-
the way I do is wrong.
Well, I
No,
don't.
it's not
what you're
wrong.
doing is, it's not that it's wrong. Well, no, some parts of it are wrong, but I don't want you to think that it's not something that we can overcome. Because, like I said, there are times there have even been times where Ariel has said things, and I had to go to her and say, "Hey, be easy with how you said that to me, because that hurt. I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate that. And don't do that to me. You're going to speak to me with respect." I want you to, I want to give you some grace. And I don't want to force a relationship or have a fake relationship with you, but I do want us to continue to move in the right direction. And so You don't have to, in this instance, say sorry for me to forgive you for the conversation. I need for you to grow from it. And I need for you to work in the right direction. I need for you to not choose. It had nothing to do with church. It could have been anything. It had absolutely nothing to do with church. It was me not being chosen yet again. That's where that hurt came from. And so if I'm telling you this, then moving forward, we know how to communicate more efficiently. Because is the podcast something that you want to do
Yes.
with me?
Yeah.
So I think for right now, I can tell you that I love you and I'd like to move past it. And although I'm not mentally and physically and in my heart in a space to just hug you, because I want that, when that happens, I want it to be authentic. I can, like if my daughter is hurt and I can't hug her, I can grab her hand and I can say, hey, it's gonna be okay. Let me give you some comfort. I can do that for you, and I can say, we'll figure it out. You understand? I love you, Ma. I do. I love you. And I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to reciprocate the love. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm asking at this step, is to just reciprocate it. So if you don't know how, I'm going to continue to show you grace, and I'm just going to have to keep correcting you. But I'm telling you that I love you. I don't need perfection. Okay?
Okay.
So I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm going to work hard as I can.
So, y'all, this this has been a lot. Ariel, do you want to say anything about mother-daughter dynamics before we cut out?
Guys, just remember, you can have open communication with your mom. Just don't tell her too much, because I do.
You can tell her too much. We're built for it. Holiday? What do you want to say to the mom who is in this situation?
What I want to say to the moms that's in this situation, don't just turn and walk away. With your children, there is a solution. Talk to them. Even if you don't want to listen to them, talk to them and listen anyway.
I think that that's fair. You all, let me tell you something. As the daughter in this dynamic, and the daughter who has now become a mother, I get it. It's hard. I get it. It's hard. I get that they are requesting something or requiring something from you that they didn't give you. And I get that you're hurt. And I get that sometimes we even want our lick back. And there have been times where stuff has aggravated Holiday, and I have laughed vengefully. It's just the truth. I have. But listen to me. Pray about it. Put God first and talk to him anyway. Because if you've done your part, and the relationship is still hard, don't put yourself in a position of pain. Holiday is willing to take some accountability for the things that she's done. That makes it easier. So moms, dads, if you take accountability, if you take ownership, it makes it easier for us to move past it. You all, the difference between my bio daughter and me having taken care of her my entire life, and my mom, who I was separated from through foster care and all of those things, the dynamic is going to be different. It's not going to be easy, but healing is possible. And you're witnessing that we're still in it. So in all of the laughs, because she's right, we do laugh, we do joke, we do all of those things, but there's also a lot of pain still there, and we're still working on it. So keep working on it. Hang on in there. Put God first and communicate. Parents listen and children speak up even if they don't want to hear it, because then you're doing your part. I'm going to tell you all that I love all of you. I love you parents. I love the kids. I love all of you. And this has been unfostered. It's been extremely emotional. It was all over the place. I can't say I'm sorry about that because it's necessary and people need to know what it looks like when bio mom and daughter reconnect. It's not always perfect. Okay. Love you all. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Bye.